Hello everyone. So this is going to be the last unit of our semester, unit number 9, test administration. So let us start by saying that even the best designed test can completely fail if it's not administered properly. This chapter is going to be a reminder of all the key steps that we need to follow. You see, some of the points may seem pretty obvious, things we already know, but as examiners, we often overlook them in exam rooms. So in this video, we'll go over them again to make sure that once we've created a good test, we also administer it successfully and fairly. And of course, we must keep an eye on the candidates during the test to ensure that they don't cheat or engage in any suspicious behavior. First and foremost, we'll look at materials and equipment. Make sure that you print enough test papers, test booklets, answer sheets if you planned on having them. You do not want to assume that the extras will be available because it's going to be very chaotic if you can run out of answer sheets or test papers or test booklets at the start of the test, right? It has happened pretty, not often, but it has happened multiple times in our department as well, where we are short of test papers and everybody had to run around printing test papers, which is not really a good look, for you and for the school and for the students themselves. And make sure that if you are going to reuse your materials, okay, make sure that you do not, okay, have something on them, either the answers or any markings. Okay, next, you must number all test materials better, okay, just for better tracking and security. Okay, if this helps if anything goes missing, or it just help us keep things a little bit more organized. We know where things are basically. Okay, ensure that scorers have enough keys that are accurate. A single mistake in the answer key can affect the whole, right? The entire test paper, the entire, pretty much everything, right, from students' scores to the test paper, and just it's not convenient. It's very problematic for everybody, for all parties involved. So make sure that the answer keys provided are very accurate and do not misrepresent, okay, the students' abilities. Test all equipment. Okay, if let's say that you are planning on having a listening test, for example, so make sure that the speakers are nice, well prepared, okay, fully charged. Okay, tape recorders are, yeah, audible. You know what I mean, right? Pretty obvious here. Okay, and make sure that you plan everything in advance. Okay, to avoid any mistakes that may occur. Okay, during the test itself. All right, the next thing we need to look at when it comes to test administration is the examiner. As the examiners, ourselves pretty much, we want to make sure that we give detailed instructions to all examiners, all parties involved, to cover any possible problems. This is because we want to make sure that everyone should know what to do if, for example, a student asks a question, asks for clarification, right? Happens a lot. You do too, right? You may have a question, you ask the examiner to clarify, and that examiner must know what to say, what to do, what it is. Examiners should practice giving directions aloud. Okay, clarity and confidence matters a lot, right? Especially under pressure. We want to relieve the students' pressure even to just a certain extent. Okay, so give directions, tell them what to do, what to avoid, what they should not do during the test, before the test, after the test, and all these sorts of things. And the examiners should be trained to use the test equipment, for example, the speaker, the laptop, or whatever technological devices involved. And listening test examiners should practice with recordings. By practicing here means we want to make sure that they know the timing, when to pause, if they are allowed to pause, but it doesn't really happen often. But they just need to know how the audio should work, where they should start, when to stop, for example. The oral examiners must be fully trained in procedures and rating. This is because will help ensure fairness and consistency in, for example, speaking assessment, right? Because it is an oral exam, so the examiners must be clearly trained, fully trained to do so, because everything happens at this moment. Okay, the next things we are going to look at will be the invigilators, okay, the ones in the class. When you go into an exam room, you have done that before here. You will see teachers, right? The teachers in the class are not examiners; they are just invigilators, invigilating the exam process. Candidate, all of you, the rooms, right, where you take the exam. So the invigilators or the proctors, if you will, we need to give clear instructions and meet with them before the test. So basically, usually the invigilators are told what to do, what they should not do, okay, and what instructions they should give to students in advance. Before the start of the test. We want to make sure that the invigilators follow the procedure, the process of the exam. So these invigilators must be trained properly, right? Must be told properly, must be given the proper, basically a way of administering the test. And then we come to the candidates themselves, which is all of us. The candidates must be given full instructions. Okay, they need to be told where to go, what to do, right? All the possible instructions, that all the possible things they should avoid or they should not avoid, right? For example, you may be told to bring a identity card, or you may be told to arrive 5 minutes early. You may be told to put your phones in your bag, for example. And each candidate this really depends on the situation and the type and the purpose of the test. Usually if the test is very standardized, then every candidate or each candidate may be assigned a unique exam number, which means they are given a different set of exam papers. And then the rooms, obviously, right, we want to be in a quiet room, okay, large enough, with enough space, right, to prevent obviously cheating. Listening tests should be conducted in rooms that, are covered, fully covered, in which the sound, well, basically, we do not want to make the audio uh, inaudible for the students, right? We want to make sure that the students can clearly listen to the speakers in the audio. Our desks and tables should be arranged in advance. Okay, we want to make sure that everything is set and ready for students when they come in. They just sit, right? They just sit in their given seats or assigned seats. Yeah, and that's pretty much all, right, for these three. And then we get to the administration itself. So when we administer the test, we want to make sure that the students arrive well before the start time. Again, this should be told to the students in advance. Latecomers should not disturb others. They may be tested in a different room if appropriate. Again, they should all be well informed to the students in advance as well. We do not want to surprise them, right? Okay, we inform them in advance that if they come late, they'll be assigned to a different room or not admitted into the room at all. And now during the test, so what should what should we as examiners, as invigilators do, right? Okay, well, I guess the first thing you need to do is to check the candidate's identity. We want to make sure that the real people are coming here to take the test, not someone else, right? Some people may use, if they have a twin, right? They may ask their brother or sister to pretend to be them to take the exam for them, which is not appropriate, it's not ethical, it's not right. So we want to make sure that we are testing people who are supposed to take tests, not others who are not supposed to. Candidates must arrive before the time starts. Again, we've already talked about this. Okay, it just helps you personally, because you have time to like take a deep breath, take a sip of water, yeah, right? You take a time to like slow your breathing a little bit, let your heart beat a little bit easily. Okay, and you have time to basically calm yourselves down, right? Reduce that pressure. Okay, seat the candidates to prevent cheating. This really depends here, but if you already know the students and you know who will be likely to cheat, then you should have them seat far away from each other, right, to prevent any possibility of cheating. For those who arrive late, they should not be admitted into the room. This is really the standard here, but there may be excusable situations, but all in all, we should not admit them into the class if they're too late. Examiners must clearly explain the rules, the consequences of cheating. Yes, this should be done either in advance or at the start of the exam. The students must know what they should or should not do. Test materials must be handed out individually, ensuring correct matching of test paper and answer sheet. Again, like I said, we are not going to like pass it around in a way that is not orderly or not organized. So we want to make sure that if we have separate, right, unique exam papers, then we must think of a way to hand out these exam papers properly. Candidates must write their exam number, date correctly, of course, right? You are asked to do that. You may not be asked to do that, that's fine, but in other cases, you may be asked to do that and you should do it properly, correctly, accurately. Examiners must read any extra spoken instructions. Of course, as the examiners, we want to make sure that we do not miss anything. We want to make sure that the exam process goes smoothly. So the instructions given to us must be obeyed. The exam must start and end exactly on time. There is no excuses, everybody. When at 7:30 the exam begins, right? We are not going to wait. We are not going to do anything unless it is very specific, right? Okay, and it ends exactly on the time set. Okay, no excuses. When the time ends, everybody stops writing. Invigilators should monitor quietly and handle issues as per instructions. Usually, as the invigilators, we really have no power other than making sure that students don't cheat. Usually, if there are questions, we may contact the examiners themselves to supervise the exam. Candidates can leave only one at a time with supervision. Yes, if you're done with your test, you can leave, but you may just be supervised pretty thoroughly. Invigilators must ensure that everyone stops working when told and stay seated until materials are collected. Yes, of course, everybody. Yeah, you cannot start before anybody else. You can end before anyone else, but you cannot start before anyone else. So until you're told, the students should not start anything, should not do anything before being instructed to do so. And that is pretty much the end of the test administrations, and I believe these are pretty obvious to us, but we may just overlook that, or not purposefully, but we may not be aware that we should do these things.